Okay, great. So we got a special one today. This is going to be all about, you know, telling a story about how a good friend died, came back to life, and then some of the things that could be done from experience, and talking about our own personal experience and how this other remedies could have been helpful to save the guy. So last week I get a call from a good friend's dad, Salam, Tuesday night. And he says that, hey, Salam. So the week before I bought a bull, he had my number. I was the only friend of his that his dad had his number of. So he calls me up. Hey, bad news. Salam's in the hospital. And I said, what's going on? Yeah, he fell over, had a heart attack, and basically died. I said, so he's dead? He said, well, he's not dead, but he seems like not he's definitely in a coma. He's out. And he was dead, I guess, or he died after that. But so I said, what? This is serious. So I said, what can I do? And so we just, prayed. We had a call later that day with a big group of people. We all came together. We said some prayers, read Psalm 91, and we just stayed positive. And I was just really positive with the rest of the group and saying, hey, something good's going to come out of this. This guy's really strong. He's going to bounce back. It's not his time. And, he's going to bounce back. There's no doubt about it. Something good will come out of this. We got to think positive and look and really pray and come together and give this guy some good vibes and good energy to come out. And so later, was it Thursday? I get a call from his dad, says he's at the ER, and that Salam started moving his fingers, moving his toes. He started functioning again. Later on that day, I get another call. All of a sudden, the doctor says that he's conscious now. He's out of the coma, and he was recovering, and he would be at 100% in a matter of time. So that being said, we had a call on Saturday with him on Sunday on the mastermind with him, and he really sounds a lot different. And ultimately, what he said happened was that he died. He died. The doctor said he was DOA, dead on arrival. He died when he arrived. So, I mean, and I said, well, what was it like being dead? Yeah. We can laugh about it now. I mean, I'm not laughing but I mean, I literally asked him this question. I'm thinking like, so you were dead. What was that like? He didn't remember what it was like. I said, did you see Jesus? Did you see any angels? He didn't have any answers as to what happened, but he couldn't remember. But he said that he was definitely pronounced dead on arrival. Then he started doing the machine on chest and bringing him back because his chest was all bruised. He said his chest was super, super. He had broken ribs from so many pounding of his chest from the doctor. And they put some stuff in him and a stent in his thing, and he had a clogged artery, and it was a massive heart attack that killed him. But he was dead for however long, but he came back. They revived him, and now he's recovering. He sure sounds different. He sounded less stressed out, a lot more peaceful, and he's still in the hospital now recovering. But the purpose of this call is that we talked last week after this happened and had some ideas. Now, none of this should be considered as medical advice or anything like that. So don't take it that way. And this is just from our own personal experience. So none of this is recommendations. Nobody should do any of this. Talk to a doctor if you're going to do something. But just, wanted to just share some stories as to how things have happened in the past. And maybe Richard, you could start out with a story about how something happened to your brother, and, it could help somebody like Salam in the future. So, Richard, your brother, didn't he also die?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He was working at the studios, and he was working in the back room there. And basically, what happened was he was working on one of these electrical machines, the power tools. But they said that his heart just stopped, which I didn't believe that. I believe that he was working on that. It shocked him, and he fell backwards, hit his head, and somebody came like about 5 minutes later. Came by, and they thought my brother was just joking and playing possum on the ground there. It was calm for him. The guy went and checked on him. He wasn't breathing, and he didn't have any heart pulse. So he ran to inside the show, and luckily they had a medic on the show. They had a medic there, and the medic grabbed his equipment, and he had one of those defibrillators, and he went inside there and hit my brother one time, nothing. Hit him again, second time, nothing. And when he got ready to hit him the third time, that's when they got a bleep, 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 bleep. Now you have to stop and think from the time that this guy ran into the studios to find the guy to the time that he came out there with his equipment was maybe about 10 to 15 minutes. So my brother was probably gone for like 20 minutes. And so they hit him like that, and he didn't remember anything like that. And so when we went to go see him, he came out of the hospital. After he came out of the hospital, and he was feeling tired, and he was having heart palpitations. He was feeling really lethargic, you know, and hard to breathe sometimes. And so one day they went to go check his heart, and they told him to come back in. And so they said his infractions were at 25. And at 25, they told him, you could live a day, you could live a week, you could live a month. It could be 6 months, but you're going to need a heart transplant because you're going to die. They told him. So they were all, him and his wife were depressed and stuff like that. And so he come up and called me and stuff. I said, no, you need to get your butt over here. So I put him on testosterone and some stuff called GDF-11 and clothol. And his infractions started to increase from 25 to 30 to 35 to 40 to 45 to 50. And it was going up. So now he rides his bike, he's out exercising, he walks every day, he's working on his car, he's living a life. They have given him blood thinners and stuff like that, which those are really not great for you to have, because you can, if you take too much, you can bleed from your nose, your eyes, you know, your ears and things like that. Other places you can bleed real easy. If you get cut, you bleed real easy because your body doesn't coagulate right enough because they use blood thinners. And they use the blood thinners when you have regular heartbeats, because when it beats extra beat, it stops for a second, the blood pulls there a little bit longer, which can cause blood clots. So they use it to be able to keep them from getting clotted. And so then I put him on that, but he feels great. He's doing wonderful, you know. And that stuff makes you sleep really good. You sleep really good at first, and then, you know, you start feeling better over a period of time. But you know, I have him taking, you know, other supplements and DHEA besides testosterone and stuff like that to help, you know, with Q10, things like this for his heart, to make sure his part. And I make sure that he gets magnesium. So you have to get the right magnesium, because certain magnesium are really, your body don't absorb it into the cells good enough. And what you have to do is, you should really do a test to see how much magnesium you have in your cells, not just in the bloodstream. See, because you need magnesium to relax your body. So because if you have too much calcium, that can cause a problem. So you need magnesium for relaxation. Okay. And it's good for, and you need to have electrolytes. You know, you need to make sure you get enough electrolytes in your body. So those are the things that he was taking, and it's been helping him out tremendously. GDF-11 is a protein that they experimented with. There was we showed last time on a YouTube, Gavin brought it up, and it was talking about a biologist, a girl that did, she ran a stem cell lab, and out of, I think it's Harvard. And there was a guy named Richard Lee, he's a cardiologist out of Harvard. And so what they did was they took an old mouse and a young mouse and connected them together through a procedure called parabiosis. Parabiosis means you connect these hearts and their arteries together, where the young mouse's blood will flow into the old mouse. The old mouse will flood back into the young mouse and go through its chamber and all that stuff. So it's running through there. And they noticed that when they did that, that the mouse, the old mouse, began to start looking younger, and his heart went from being an old mouse to becoming a young mouse, the same size and thickness as the young mouse that they had connected him to. So what they had to do is they had to go to a specific lab to run tests to find out what was it that was in the plasma that caused that to take place. And they didn't talk about it, but see, that GDF11 it's not just for the heart. There's other things that it repairs. It goes through and repair.
Now, have you
Now,
taken it before?
yes. In fact, I just started on it again right now.
Now, how long have you, when did you first take it? Like what year?
About maybe about a year ago.
Okay,
I
about
took,
a year ago.
yeah, I took
And
about a,
what,
what you know when you take GDF11, what they basically they tell you there's two side effects that happen with GDF11. One is if you take too much, you can get palpitations, heart palpitations, like AFib in a way, and you get you can't sleep, and you get shortness of breath. Those are the three side effects that you get. You'll get shortness of breath, you get palpitations, and you'll get you won't be able to sleep at all. You won't sleep. You'll be like wide awake.
so
And
did you
so
experience any of that?
yes, I experienced a little bit of palpitations and not the shortness of breath, but a little bit keeping awake a little bit longer. So I cut back the dosage because when you're taking it, they have a group with a gentleman by the name of Steve Perry who was like patient zero, who I think was back in 2014 or 2012. I'm not really sure. I can't remember when. But what they did was he went ahead and did it and started out with it. So there was a lot of things, testing that they do. They check your heart, your pulse. They check your cadmium, your rhythm of your heart, all that stuff while you're sleeping. And then they can tell you what the dose, if you got too much or not enough in your system. And when you start off with it, you might end up taking it every day for, like 5 days, 6 days on, and then a day off, 2 days off, and then go back again for a week on and a couple of days off, and then pretty soon you'll go where you start taking it like twice a week, then once a week, then once every 2 weeks. Depending on what your level of HGH is in your body and how your body's feeling and repairing itself, because it'll clean out arteries. They've done where it shouldn't clean, where they clean out arteries, improve your eyesight. Besides that, your liver and kidneys, but mainly a lot of them in your heart. What they've done, what GDF11 will do is it will actually begin to repair your arteries and the veins and stuff like that, where they become more hardened.
Wow.
This makes it more flexible, just like it was when you're younger. Makes it more elasticity. Okay. And
Is this over the counter?
no, it's not. It's something that's only prescribed for animals at this point, but you can get it. And these people
So,
take it,
so just try to talk from experience here, Richard, only because of
Yes. And
yeah.
so from doing this so far, like with my brother, because he's been on it the longest, he's feeling a lot better, a lot more energy. He's at first when he started taking it too, he started sleeping like a baby. I mean, he was like going, like you get your 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. He'd be in 8 hours sleeping, and then he'd get up, move around, then he'd feel sleepy again. He'd just go back to sleep again. But that has since passed now. He's got past that side effect, and now he's just like he takes it like once a week. He takes it like once a week. It's an injectable with insulin needles. Okay. And you don't take, you only take picograms. You don't take milligrams or, it's so insignificant the amount that you take for it to do what it needs to do. The other one is clotho. Clotho is also another protein that basically, well, actually, what GDF11 does, like when you begin to take it, what happens is, see, when your body begins to, your cells, I mean, when they begin to divide, all your cells divide, okay, and as they divide, they lose a part of their telomeres inside the chromosome. In each cell, there's a chromosome, and those chromosomes lose their telomeres. So when it divides, basically what happens is your body, through the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, secrete an enzyme that hits the telomere, hits the cells and regenerates the telomeres, regrow. That's why you see young kids, their skin looks smooth and they look very youthful, and their hair, vitality, all that stuff sparkles, because when they sleep, their body's producing at a higher amount to repair their body. So when you go to sleep, that's when it has to repair. And that's what I noticed in me. When you go to sleep at night, it begins to repair. The more sleep you have, the better it is, So as we get older, we don't produce it as much. So what we have to do is we have to supplement by either human growth hormone, HGH, hemothropin, Gentech, serotonin. These are the ones that have an effect, a reversing aging effect. Okay. So, but with GDF11, what it does is it also causes the cells to rejuvenate themselves and cause the proteins in the cells to refold correctly. They fold up and correct. And so if they don't fold correctly, as they begin to separate and they, when the cells begin to divide over a period of time, as time goes on, that's why your skin gets thinner, you get wrinkles, you get all that stuff because your cells are not being youthful. So when you get on this stuff, after like 6 to 8 months, your skin will begin to start to look different. Your skin will get thicker. It won't be thin like it was. It'll go thicker, more collagen will be inside there, and you'll begin to look more youthful. You can reverse yourself 10 to 20 years in looks. And so that's why it takes a certain amount of time from the cells are dividing now as they're aging. When you take the stuff, those younger ones are going to start replacing the older ones as it comes along. By the time that those begin to merge to the older cells above and replace them, they're going to be younger and more youthful looking.
Okay? So Richard, it seems like from your own experience that I recall you making a telomeres test or a while back, and you got the telomeres checked. Is that
yes.
Is that right?
What I did is there's a place called TeloYears. It's called TeloYears, and you can go to them and you can ask them to check your telomeres. They'll check your telomere length in your body. And when I did that at 62, when I was on this stuff called Epitalin and some other HGH, basically I was on it for like about 1 year to 2 years. And what happened was when it came back, it said that my telomere for my age at 62, my biological inside was at 42 years of age.
Wow.
So that's where your body will begin to repair itself, rejuvenate itself, and heal up joints and things like that for you. I mean, right now, you can look up GDF11. You can look at the studies that people, even Steve Perry, look up Steve Perry and put GDF11, and you'll come up to his site. He'll talk about all the things that they've found and what they've discovered on animals. See, it goes across all vertebrates, every animal that has vertebrae and stuff like that, whales and seals and porpoises and otters, you name it, birds, they all have this GDF11 circulating through their blood. Now, if I told people a long time ago, it's not the blood. People think that, I'm going to go replace the blood and I'm going to become youthful and young, which you can to a certain extent, but it's not the blood. See, every night your body produces these enzymes and proteins, and they go into the plasma, and the plasma goes along the blood and carries all this stuff, which hits the receptor sites on the cell. When they hit the receptor sites on the cell, that's what causes them to go inside and regenerate the cells, regenerate the telomeres. So see, it's the plasma. If you had a younger person that was 18 years of age that could pull out and had the same blood type as you, and you pulled out blood out of them every month, like 2 pints, 2-3 pints, and then have them replenish, put out 2 pints, redo it again, keep doing that. What happens is you stored that blood. You could take that blood and centrifuge it and just take the plasma, not the blood, just the plasma. And you can put that intravenously in your body, and you'll begin to reverse your age tremendously. These are things, there's a lot more out there than just this, because you still see, you can give this to the body, GDF11.
Well, you have.
But it's like giving a carpenter the nails without a hammer.
Got to have the health and foundation first.
Yeah, yes, you got to have the foundation of the nutrients, stuff like that. You put that in there, that gives your body these things to be able to turn yourself around, to build your body back up the way that it should be.
So, Richard, in the last 8 years since you did that test, what was how's your health?
Well, I've had, because outside of that, what I did is because of what I'm doing sitting there, I've had some things, my digestive issues, but that was an issue because I started drinking a lot of alkaline water. I was drinking, the high alkaline, because I have a machine that makes it So I was drinking, like by the gallons every day, and slowly but surely I started having some stomach issues. And one of the things that people need to understand is that your stomach has to have a high acidity, and if you don't have a high acidity, you're going to end up getting indigestion, heartburn, and you're going to end up getting bacterial infection. You're going to get H. pylori buildup. You're going to get small, these bacteria that the acid should be killing in your gut. You've neutralized all that by all this alkaline water. It's just alkaline. So an H. pylori emits a enzyme to neutralize the acid around it so it can survive inside your stomach. And these will bury holes inside your gut and cause ulcers, which I ended up sitting there not thinking about it. I began to get stomach swelling. I started getting pain. And man, I started hurting really bad where I just wanted to go. I had to go to the doctor just to have him check me.
So so it seems like you're saying that you were drinking alkaline water, which is a high pH water, which is supposed to be good for you.
Yes.
But, and that's what you probably heard too. And how long were you drinking that?
For about 2 months, 3 months like that. That's when it started hitting me after a minute. Because if you neutralize the stomach acid in your stomach, then you don't have anything to protect you from all the bacteria that's going to attack your inner lining of your gut and your lower intestines. Because if it goes through the duodenum is connected to the bottom of the stomach and it goes inside there. You get that bacteria inside there, boy, you're going to be in a world of hurt. I'm talking, I've had that twice to me in like 20 years. And I've learned this last time. But what's really ironic, which will really shock you, is like 25 years ago, I had this problem with H. pylori, and I was having this problem with my gut. So they give you antibiotics. The doctor gives you antibiotics to be able to go in. There's a 3 antibiotic routine they give you to kill that, and then you're supposed to be okay. But what happens is by taking those antibiotics, it kills all your good bacteria at the same time. And then it's going to be like hell to put that back inside you because you need that bacteria. So what happened was, as I was getting ready to walk out, this one male nurse came in there and he gave me a big box and handful of chewable Pepto-Bismol. He said, just chew this up. And he said, that'll kill all that stuff. I was, are you sure?
Pepto-Bismol seems like a miracle sometimes, doesn't it?
It's there's something inside of it. I forgot the thing that's the property that's inside there that actually what it does, it kills the bacteria. It kills it. So I took it and my symptoms went away. Man, I was swelling. I'm swelling like my gut was hurting because it was swelling out really bad. I was getting pain around the side, lower intestine, stomach. I didn't want to eat anything because every time I drank water, I'd have problems. My stomach would be hurt. But now that ain't the problem, man. I can eat anything I want to again, But it's because you forget about these things. And so I had to take Pepto-Bismol for like 3-4 days while I was taking my other stuff, my routine stuff. And what I did is I took some. I was taking. It's called HCI. It's called heptane. It's it's a hydrochloric acid, that you take when you have your meals. See, because you need to take a little bit of that sometimes. If you have that inside your stomach where you lost some of your acid, you got to build it up. And so you take that with your meal, and at the other same time, because depending on your gallbladder, because if you weren't doing that, you're going to get sluggish in your gallbladder. You need to take a gallbladder salts. You need to take like one on an empty stomach, and then one on a meal, and then another one later on your empty stomach, and that will begin to help up your because you need your gallbladder to secrete the bile to break down your fat soluble vitamins like your vitamin A, D, and E. Like these, you need those to be able to break that down and break other fats down. You need that, but people don't really understand that, maybe because your gut, when they talk as the window of health, it literally is the gut. If you don't have bacteria in your gut, certain bacteria, you become lactose intolerant. You'll end up getting diabetes because you're not producing enough insulin in your body, and it's all because of the bacteria inside there. And if you have certain like parasites, you got to get rid of the parasites, and you got to have good bacteria, because everything whatever you eat, I don't care, whatever you eat, whether it be cucumbers, carrots, whether it be celery, whether it be beets, all these and vegetables and stuff, then you eat broccoli, zucchini, whatever it is that you eat, if you don't have those bacteria in there, they won't make the vitamins that you need. They have bacteria that basically what it does, when you eat something, it breaks those foods down into vitamin B12. You don't have it, you ain't going to get no vitamin B12. You'll be low on that. And you can, if you don't get enough ferrin in your body, you're not going to absorb iron. You won't absorb iron. You can become anemic. People don't understand this, but you need your 90 minerals. You need these minerals every single day. And we're not getting enough of those, because of the things that we don't eat. And plus, a lot of the stuff that they're producing nowadays don't have all those minerals in there. There's a lot of pesticide. But the gut is the window of health. And you need to make sure that you have that. You need to make sure that you get the right bacteria inside there. And there's certain, you got to look, because there's not all these bacteria and things that you get, like these probiotics and like that, are really good for you, because it's already, a lot of that stuff is just dead bacteria. So you're not really, if you're not healing, you're not getting in shape, and you're not feeling right, then it's because you're not getting the right you don't have the right bacteria. And what's good to do that, to supplement your bacteria, is fermented vegetables like sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is good for adding good bacteria inside there into the gut. Any
Seems like sauerkraut, yeah. Did somebody have a question?
Any questions, comments, hate mail, love letters?
Well, while you're on the sauerkraut, what about apple cider vinegar?
It's good. Apple cider vinegar is really good to take. Apple cider vinegar and lemon, those things are really good. As we, can you imagine when you were younger, you could go the whole day almost without drinking water that much. You could drink, and because your body would absorb it. But now it's different.
That's, let me jump in on that. I mean, that's really just takes training, getting back into that, because when I first started onto this path, 2014, and I just couldn't get lean. And then I, started just dialing in the feeding window from just starting with, where I'm eating, I'm just trying to skip breakfast. That was my first goal. Just try to skip breakfast and start eating maybe around 10 or 11. And then doing that as a habit, and then trying to get to lunch over time, and then trying to eventually get to dinner. I mean, it wasn't overnight that I could do that. And then all that time, ideally not, I haven't gotten there yet, but ideally just not having anything, just waiting till dinner, even water too. But dry fasting is a lot more of a challenge. I haven't gotten into that yet, but yeah, man, that's right, Richard. I mean, you start to train the body, and your body is no longer hungry. And the apple cider vinegar, for me, is the key to neutralizing that hunger throughout the day.
Yeah, you can do that. And there's also, you can, that Celtic salt that they have, they always talk about putting just a little bit in water and then drinking that throughout the day, because that helps pull it into the cells a lot better, because then it's just not urinated right out.
Salt in water, correct? Yeah, that's a good point.
You take just a small amount, and you just put it inside and drink it down like that, and throughout the day. And seeing that, one of the biggest problem though is we're taught that all this stuff is no good for us because it causes, high blood pressure, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't have, the minerals and stuff like that and stuff, you need to be able to start taking that stuff. You need to make sure you're getting all your minerals, at least 90 minerals a day. Because we don't have that. But when you get with the stuff we were talking about earlier, like the GDF11 and the Clotho will increase your mental acuity with about 25% within the first month. It'll increase it.
Can you spell that?
Clotho is KLOTHO.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll increase your lifespan 30%. It does that in mice already. They've shown in other animals that they've done studies. And GDF11 has stopped cancer in a lot of animals. This guy, Steve Perry, has dogs that have died of all these cancers and stuff like that. They put them on this GDF11 and they're back to living normal lives. Because.
So how do you go about getting the prescription for this from a vet?
No, you can't.
You're telling me the dog has cancer?
It's not, they don't do it the vets don't even do it. What happened basically is that a GDF11 is by a lab called Buckley's Lab.
Buckley?
Yeah, Buckley's Lab, and then just put GDF11 after that, because then it'll because there's other labs called Buckley, but you put Buckley's Lab GDF11, it'll take you to their site. And the thing is that you can order it from them, and the amount that UG, which is like nothing, you get the bottle and it looks like there's nothing in there almost, and you got to mix it like you wouldn't believe. You could buy that, it'll last you almost 5 years.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll mix it so much that you'll have enough, and so
and before And that's just really own personal experience that Richard's
Right.
sharing there. None of that's recommendation that anyone do that, you know? So, I
No.
mean, if anything,
Oh, yeah.
people should first work on making sure that they have their nutrition in check and their exercise in check, all of their basic routines. Those are the foundation, because without like,
And always seek medical advice. You know, you always have
yeah,
to seek medical advice
or
to make
seek
sure-
medical advice, but without the foundation of like solid intermittent fasting, solid in whatever diet's going to work for you, really neutralizing, getting rid of the sugars, getting rid of the carbs, processed carbs for sure.
Yeah.
And then a regular exercise routine with strength training and high intensity training. Those are going to change. That's like the foundation. All the other stuff is like, boom, gonna help, could help.
So you know what the reason why you look at a lot of bodybuilders, they die when they're young. They die at 35, 40 years of age. You don't really see old bodybuilders unless but basically what they'll do is if they quit doing it at a certain time and then change their whole routine, it's okay. But even Arnold Schwarzenegger had to have a valve replaced and he had other problems and issues. He went outside the country to have those taken care of. So nobody knew about that. But you really have to monitor. Sylvester Stallone is one, but he really monitors. He had his monitored extensively and prescribing that, because he was caught in another country. I can't remember which where it was at, where they caught him with human growth hormone testosterone, which is illegal in that country. And here you can get TR treatment here today. They have offices that are willing to work with you. You have to check yourself just to make sure that you should check your entire endocrine gland. You shouldn't it's not just one thing fix all. You have to look at everything. You have to look at your thyroid. You have to look at your pedalone. You have to look at your DHEA. You have to look at your testosterone, your estrogen, things like that. And especially for women, see, women can take testosterone too, but a small amount. And they can take it to what they call bioidenticals. They can take bioidenticals, hormones, and rub that on there. And there's a specific place where you run them so it doesn't raise your DHT or your estrogen levels, So I mean, it's a science. You really need to be with somebody that's really up to speed on that. I know a lot about it, but there's people that you really need to go to when you sit down with them and talk to them. They can outline everything for you. Because I've had my own protocols that I went over. Because I used to research a lot of that about blood doping and things like that. And how, athletes, how they used to train, how they would go up to high altitudes and train. And the reason being is they took the Navajo Indians who lived up there up in the hills. They took their blood and they centrifuged it and found out that they had a lot of blood and not so much plasma. And then when they did a centrifuge, the athletes were down here, they had a little bit of blood and a lot of plasma. And so that's why athletes went up there and started training. They went up training up in high altitudes, because after a day or two, you begin to start producing more red blood cells and more hemoglobins, to carry the oxygen to the muscle tissues and to carry out the waste, things like that. But that, what was that guy, Lance Armstrong, who did the Tour de
The
France?
biker.
Yes. See, he was the reason why I was wondering, because when I saw him doing his thing, I said, man, this guy's got to be doing blood doping, because I used to research it long before he was there back in the early 70s, when I used to look at different athletes, like Vasilevsky and also Russian athletes and stuff that would do certain powerlifting and, all these type of different, I look at all the different types of sports that people are doing and how they would train their muscles for each sport was uniquely different than, let's say a sprinter compared to a long distance runner. A sprinter has bigger, stronger thigh muscles and stuff, whereas a long distance runner is slim and trim, because of the way that they run and the distance they run. So I would look at everything, compared to